Welcome to the Retro Video Store Podcast.
Welcome to the Retro Video Store Podcast. I'm your host, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
And that's my co-host, Neil.
I'm Neil. And who here is with us telling us about Famunda cheese?
Hey, guys.
David's back.
Yeah, I kind of wish I wasn't.
David may have taken a good lighthearted ribbing before we started recording.
Oh, ribbing.
Getting a lot of gray in your beard there, David.
Fuck off. Look at the size of this.
I resent that remark, Dick.
Yeah. So David's back. It's good to have him back. He was been out fighting fires. Tell us about the state of wildfires in your area.
Just an early season. Yeah, they're not getting too big, but there's just been plenty of small ones, and we're kind of at weird record highs. 96 today for this time of year, which is not normal. Yeah, so
we had
this
highs.
Always happens.
We had 2 days of highs in the Bay Area here for 2 days, and then it dipped today back to like more normal. So I wonder if that heat wave's just pushed across towards you guys.
Yeah, it's supposed. I think the next 72 hours we're going to be back. That's all. We just had it kind of like shit'll be too green here pretty soon, and so we'll have a couple slow weeks. It always happens.
Nice. Well, glad to have you back and joining us for this movie. This movie that maybe not a lot of people have seen, but was a classic in the Johnson household back in the mid to late 80s. So we're talking about The Believers from 1987. We're doing a mini voodoo marathon because we're doing The Believers this week and The Serpent and the Rainbow next week. So if you want to get your voodoo on, that's for those are both on Amazon Prime streaming right now. So
I think Dave's beard makes him look like a bad guy from a Popeye cartoon a little bit.
A little bit. Good.
I'm ignoring you guys. let's get to the reason we're here. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, we're going to talk about The Believers. The past 2 weeks, Neil and I have been going solo, but we've had a good time talking about everything but the movie. So we'll see how we do this week. I like this movie, but it's kind of a slight movie. There's really not much to it, but there's some funny parts, maybe intentionally or unintentionally to it. We'll talk about that, but before we do that, we'll do what we always do and ask Dave. Dave, have you watched anything of note while you were gone?
I've been so busy. I think the last thing I watched was the Netflix thing on how they caught Osama bin Laden. And it was really good. Oh, I did watch I don't know if the last time I recorded with you guys, but I watched that unicorn movie about the killer unicorns.
Yeah. I talked about that last week with Eric. What'd you think?
Dude, it was entertaining. I
was.
liked it. Yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, it was totally stupid, but it made me wish that I could, do some drugs and really enjoy that movie.
It was like you knew when they were going to catch a unicorn horn. You're like, oh, they're so dead. They're so dead. Then yes, they finally got him.
Yeah, it was stupid. But the Osama bin Laden thing was really good about the 3-part Netflix docuseries was really, really good. So more documentary. I've been watching more documentary stuff lately, and that's, I don't know if it helps me, but I watch it. Neil, what have you watched?
Watch the Lego movie.
The original one?
Mm-hmm. Watch the Lego movie.
That's a good one. Super funny.
My son wanted to gear up for Stranger Things final season coming out. So we started watching a few episodes every night of Stranger Things.
Oh, nice.
And then we started watching on recommendation a show called The Residents on Netflix. And that's been pretty good, but not much movie wise.
Nice.
Yeah. Good to see you back, Dave.
Wish I could say the same. Eric, what Eric, what did you watch?
I watched a lot of stuff this week. I've been watching a lot of movies. But I will say one movie that I went to see in the theater. I don't know why. I decided, hey,
here it is. Here it is.
I'm going to watch
Here it is.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And I will say that it was a gigantic pile of shit. It was so bad. I have a friend and she's like really into the Mission Impossible movies, and she's like, "Hey, you should watch the Mission Impossible movies." I've only seen 1 and 2 in a long time ago. So I'm like, okay, I'll watch 3. So I watched 3 the beginning of the week, and that's the one with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Kerry Russell is in it for some reason. It's number 3, and it was okay. You don't really give a shit about what happens because you know that Tom Cruise's character is going to get out of it no matter what. So there's really no stakes. In Mission Impossible 3 is like they introduce Kerry Russell as his protege, and then she dies. But he's like, when did he have time for a protege in the other 2 movies? Doesn't make any sense. You know how they, like in the Fast and the Furious movies, they have a time to say, remember this from your past. Your past is haunting you, even though we've seen their past when they were stealing DVD players and VCRs and stuff like that. It's like, when did they have time to become as international super spies? Same with Tom Cruise. In this movie, the Final Reckoning has more timers than any movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Every situation has a timer. There's an excuse to have a timer. You see a timer in the war room, 3 days, and then they got to do this bomb, and it's got 4 minutes, and there's another bomb with 4 minutes, and then there's another. I mean, there's just so many goddamn timers, and every scene is exposition. Before the action happens, everybody's has to explain what's going to happen, and there's so many MacGuffins. It's like there's this secret hard drive that he has to go underwater to get off this disabled Russian submarine in order to unite this other MacGuffin, this hard drive that will stop this AI from infecting the internet and taking over the nuclear warheads and stuff like that. Fucking stupid. Yes, sir. Oh, sorry, David.
But I like the sir thing. It's been a long time since somebody showed me any form of respect. But I got to ask you, what's a MacGuffin?
MacGuffin is just a writerly device that drives the plot forward. Like the Maltese Falcon, and the Maltese Falcon is the engine that keeps everything going. Like the Infinity Stones in the Marvel movies is the MacGuffin that keeps everything going. It's the kind of like the writerly device that drives everything. Like in the Mission Impossible movie, there's 4 different MacGuffins. There is the key to open the hard drive that he has to get. There's the hard drive, and then there's also the stupid like zip drive that goes in the hard drive, and it's just fucking stupid. There are 2 good scenes underwater with the submarine, and when they're flying the stupid biplanes, and Tom Cruise is doing his own stunts and stuff like that. But otherwise, it is fucking awful. I wanted to walk out, but then I realized there was like 20 minutes left. I'm like, might as well stick it out. Terrible.
How many times are you going to see him hanging off an airplane? How many times are you going to see him running? How many times are you going to see him jump on a motorcycle? Look, we know you ride motorcycles. We know you fly planes.
Well, he outruns the internet in this movie.
Holy shit.
Wait, so this was Dead Reckoning?
No, Final Reckoning. Dead Reckoning was the one before it.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So they rip off The Abyss with the underwater sequences. They rip off Terminator and the Age of Ultron with the AI taking over. At least in Age of Ultron, Ultron is a manifestation, and the Terminators are like the manifestation of the AI. In this one, they just kept saying, the entity is here. The entity is going to affect us. The entity, but you never see it. It doesn't really do anything. It's just like they whisper about it. It's just, it's fucking awful. And I can't believe it. It's got 80% positive reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. I cannot believe it. It is probably the worst blockbuster movie I've seen in forever. So, yeah.
So
I cannot.
Why did you decide to watch it again?
Just because I had never seen the series before, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll jump in and see what it's all about or whatever. And then because a lot of people like it, and it's just shit. Stay far, far away unless you want to watch something and just count how awful it is. Watch the Final Reckoning. It is just colossally bad, almost entertainingly bad. By the time there's this part where he's stuck in a submarine, spoilers, he's stuck in a submarine and he is in this Navy SEAL advanced breathing, scuba equipment that helps him from, fight decompression sickness and all the other kind of stuff. The stuff that drove Michael Biehn crazy in the Abyss is supposed to keep him from doing that. But he gets stuck in a torpedo tube, so he has to strip it all off and swim in his undies up 400 feet to the top of the ice, and his girlfriend spy associate has a portable decompression chamber that she brought with her and uses the power of love to bring him back, like Mary Elizabeth at Master Antonio in the Abyss, because he drowns as well. So ugh.
Can I say I think that I would much rather see her getting revived than Tom Cruise.
Haley Atwell, yes. Definitely, yes. Much, much more. So, yeah. So I had to watch The Winter Soldier the next day to get it out of watch a good movie with suspense and stakes that you believe in and stuff. So I had to watch Captain America, The Winter Soldier the next day just to cleanse the palate of the Mission Impossible movies.
I started the new one with Anthony Mackie, and Harrison Ford. Yeah, I got 20 minutes in, then we had to turn it off. We had to go do stuff. So I'm gonna try to finish that off. Maybe
it's
we'll
not
talk
terrible.
about that next time.
I would rather watch that than Mission Impossible.
I would like to point out how how we were all laughing and having a really great time, and then you started bitching about Mission Impossible, and you've just really brought the vibe
I killed
down.
the vibe. I'm sorry,
killed the vibe. We were having a great time before, and it's all done
killed
now.
The vibe. Yeah, I killed the vibe. It is really bad, really, really, really bad. But we're not here to talk about Mission Impossible, even though I spent 7 minutes talking about it. We're here to talk about The Believers from 1987. Do you want to hit us with the Internet Movie Database tagline?
Cal Jamieson, a stable, sane police psychologist who is not prone to fits of violence or extreme anger, is forced to deal with a series of ritualistic murders in which he views, in some of the worst facial acting you've ever seen, and a malevolent cult.
Yes.
When he looks disgusted, it looks like he's smelling farts. When he sees something like, oh man, they killed some babies, it looks like somebody ripped a garlic fart next to this guy. That's the look he has on his face. His eyes are all open and watery. He's like, oh my God, that came out of your body? Love those. Was he full on into the drink and the drugs at this point? Because
I don't know.
He was raging in that movie.
Before we started recording, we said he has 2 gears in this movie.
Yeah, there was no emotional range because the spectrum was really narrow. There was a short gap between calm and collected and to just shaking the fucking shit out of his kid in the middle of the street and smacking him. It's like a little narrow space. Normally you think, oh, there's going to be a whole rainbow. We're going to have the whole Roy G. Biv going across, but nope. He goes right from the Roy to the V. Boom, right in between.
Yeah, he is yell acting to the nth degree in this movie. It is so unintentionally funny, but super, super memorable. David, when did you first watch this movie?
Yesterday.
And before that, you had not even heard of him?
Never heard of it. No.
Hmm.
This never even was on my radar until you said this is what we're watching. And I will say the trailer had some pretty cool music that made this movie seem like it was going to be like, okay, this isn't going to be bad. But yeah, I think I was entertained.
Neil, how about you?
I think I'd seen bits of it, but I'd never actually seen the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a little sad because it as we're watching it, my my wife and I were just calling it as we were going. I had a really good time watching the movie with her because she's sitting there. She's like, God, I hope that fucking bitch gets electrocuted. Yeah, she got electrocuted. Good. Goddamn. Glad she is gone.
Yeah, this movie was a staple in the Johnson household once it hit HBO. We used to watch the shit out of this movie. We watched it over and over and over again. This is one of those movies that I just assumed that everybody had seen because it was so ubiquitous in our house. We watched this so much. This is one of those that you watch it one day on HBO, you don't even know what it is, and you start watching it and you're like, oh shit, this lady got electrocuted. Oh shit, there's voodoo. There's spiders crawling out of this lady's face.
Dead cats' heads in bowls. Like,
yes, dead cats sacrificed, just all sorts of shit going on. Jimmy Smits acting to the hilt, Martin Sheen acting to the hilt, Robert Loggia doing whatever Robert Loggia does. It's just it's not a good movie.
Growling, basically, he growls a lot. He delivers his lines through guttural, like, I tell you, I don't know what I'm doing.
My first really remembering Robert Loggia was in An Officer and a Gentleman, where he's Richard Gere's dad. You know, his really kind of fucked up dad who gets him like prostitutes for his birthday and all that kind of stuff. You know, I just remember that Robert Loggia being really kind of in that movie and being really weird, and he's been in tons of movies, and he just is just a memorable actor. And he's got that, like you said, he's got that growly, grizzled kind of wow, he died in 2015. He lived kind of a long time. I remember him he was in Big, Scarface. He was Frank Lopez. The other guy's greed. Remember that? Never underestimate the other guy. He was good in that.
Necessary Roughness.
Yep. He was in S.O.B., that movie with Julie Andrews' boobs. Remember that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. An Officer and Gentleman. Psycho 2, Curse of the Pink Panther, Scarface, Prizzi's Honor, The Jagged Edge, Over the Top. Yeah, he wasn't Over the Top. The Believers, Amazon Woman on the Moon. He was in Big. Yeah, he was in a lot of movies, just doing whatever, you know, Robert Loggia does. He was in Independence Day, right? Yes, he was a general in that. So good on Robert Loggia. He brought whatever that grizzled spirit to whatever movie he was in. So this was directed by John Schlesinger, and he is kind of an unusual director. He directed Midnight Cowboy and Marathon Man, so two really classic late 60s, early 70s movies. And then he did The Falcon and the Snowman. That was a kind of an unusual, like, espionage tale. The Believers. Last big thing that he did was Pacific Heights with Michael Keaton and Melanie Griffith and Matthew Modine. I remember that's like the last big movie I remember him directing. And yeah, this movie is unusual. Mark Frost, the co-creator of Twin Peaks, was the writer. And it was based on a book called The Religion. And yeah, it was released in June 10th of 1987. So I was 14 years old when this movie came out. And watched it a lot.
A writer for Twin Peaks, and then we have one of the major plot points around coffee. So I, for one, am shocked. That's a damn fine cup of coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been to that diner.
Oh, you
I've
have?
had
You've been to the Twin Peaks Diner?
I have. I had a damn fine cup of coffee and one of the cherry pies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for including Helen Shaver's vagine in this. Did you do this, or did Neil do this? Neil must have.
I don't know how.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I know.
So, well, that is so funny. Did you hear what David and I were talking about before you were? You must have not, because you weren't even on the. On the we were talking about some pervert review that David watched. Go ahead and tell us about that review you watched.
Well, no, I finished. I didn't get a chance to finish it, so I found something today to watch, just a recap of the movie. And this guy just talking about it in his car, and he's holding up the DVD box set, and he just went on this tangent about Schaefer's muff. And how you can see it in the movie. He goes, it's because he was talking about like the movie, and then he's talking about his Mr. Skin account, and how he has like he's like, well, if you can get access to stuff if you have the whatever Mr. Skin. And he goes, which I have. But yeah, you can see her muff, and she's got her legs spread far enough. And just like talking about this, I'm like, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I don't even remember that either. I don't remember that at all. And then, so I had to go to Reddit, and I typed her name in there, and sure enough, it's the second thing that that you can see on Reddit. Apparently she's touching her face, where she's got the lesion growing on her face, and she gets out of bed with Cal, and she gets dressed, and you can barely see it. So I don't know what this guy's talking about, but I don't remember it at all. But Helen Shaver is not a right. Her name is not correct.
Definitely not Shave. But
yeah,
he
hold on.
Is that the first time I've got one of these on the show? I think
That's well done.
Yes, thank you,
David.
I'm going to log off now, and I'll see you guys in 4 weeks.
Yes. So there was like a voodoo trend going on in the 80s with movies. This movie distinctly, and Angel Heart came out in the same year. In the
This
year after
movie's
that,
this movie's about
Serpent
Santeria, though.
Santeria. And what don't do?
I don't know. I just know that I don't practice Santeria, and I don't got no crystal ball.
Yep, I was singing that right before you came on. I don't practice Santeria. Yeah.
I just remember that I got something for his punk ass.
So lately, I've been running the Chat GPT notes just to see kind of what they're bringing up, and they kind of make me laugh. I like the synopsis and the key themes that they want us to touch upon, and this movie has a lot in common with Rosemary's Baby, where there's a secret conspiracy against the main character to get him into a cult. Of course, in Rosemary's Baby, the entire apartment building is conspiring with her husband to have Rosemary deliver the devil's baby, and you don't find out until the end. Well, this one is kind of the same, similar, where even Cal's friends and other people are, involved in this this African cult where they sacrifice kids, and there's Santeria and Brujeria. Santeria being the good part of it, and Brujeria being the evil flip side of it. And my mom, speaking Spanish and being kind of traditional, this movie freaked her out. She would always talk about, Brujeria and brujos and witches and stuff like that folk tales and things like that. So this was a fun watch with my mom as she smoked her cigarette and got freaked out by it. So
I don't even have to think about that. It just brings like an immediate memory of your mom freaking out about stuff while she was
yeah.
That and your mom talking about men's track.
Yeah. And the what was swinging on the guys in men's track.
Swinging.
Yeah. My mom was superstitious, and she, like most people who Mexican people, I'm going to say it, Hispanic, drank coffee and Coke consistently. There was not a drop of water to be found in my mom's consumption of liquids. Coca-Cola and coffee. Yep. Coffee half the day and maybe a Coke at night, and that was it. There was always coffee going. And cigarettes. Virginia Slims 120 Lights. That was her brand of choice. I don't know if she still smokes or not. I haven't checked on her in a while. Shit, I guess. I don't think she does.
Wow, what a good kid.
I know, I'm a great kid. I called her, for Mother's Day and things like that, but I just don't know her smoking habits. So, yeah. So this movie, Angel Heart, and The Serpent and the Rainbow were like the voodoo trifecta from 87 and 88. And we watched all those over and over again. And this movie was a lot of fun. I keep driving past Helen Shaver's picture that Neil posted. Thank you, Neil.
You're welcome.
You want to hit us with the critical consensus?
Yeah, let's do that. All right, Rotten Tomatoes, Believers gets an approval rating of 35%, and that's based on 20 reviews. That's an average of 4.8 out of 10. All right, Roger Ebert, he gave the film 1.5 stars out of 4, denouncing the film as an awesomely silly, tasteless, and half-witted movie.
I included some quotes from Roger Ebert for you to include right there.
Oh, well, here we go. Dennis Schwartz from Dennis Schwartz Movie Reviews. Oh, man, who doesn't consult Dennis Schwartz? Because I see his Schwartz is as big as mine.
I was going to say, may the Schwartz be with you.
He gives it a C+, calls the film muddled, and criticized the film's cheap scares, writing, and lack of believable storyline. However, not all reviews of the film are negative. Hal Hinson from the Washington Post gave the film a mostly positive review, writing, "The Believers is a bizarre occult thriller about the implications of religious faith, and though it doesn't expand upon its shock tactics as much as it would like to, or make its theological points, the movie's dread atmosphere begins to seep into your head." Author and film critic Leonard Maltin. I like that we got to preface it. Like you don't fucking know who Leonard Maltin is. He awarded the film 2.5 out of 5 and calling it gripping and genuinely frightening. Brett Gallman from Oh, the Horror praised the film. Oh, the Horror praised the film. I'm just going to say that fucking one more time. What a great... Oh, the Horror praised the film. Writing, while The Believers feels familiar on a surface level, its use of Santeria mythology and Schlesinger's deft blend of suspense and graphic shocks provide enough flavor to separate it from the flock. Oh, the Horror. All right, Roger Ebert review quotes. We need a theme song for that. Bum, bum, it's time for Roger's review quotes. Bum, bum. All right.
Yeah.
In The Believers, which is an awesomely silly, tasteless, and half-witted movie, Martin Sheen plays a psychiatrist whose wife is electrocuted by touching the coffee maker while standing barefoot in a pool of spilt milk. What a fucking animal those two were. That really bothered me. And I think I started texting you as soon as we watched the movie, like, what numbnut. First, he drops the milk and he stands there like, "Oh, I dropped the milk." You fucking snatch that thing up as quick as possible. He's sitting there like some weird privileged kid's like, "Oh, I made a boo-boo." And then she goes over to clean it up and stands right in the middle of it. And that was the first thing my wife said, because we were watching that coffee maker go. And she goes, "You know what? I hope that bitch touches the coffee maker and gets electrocuted." Boom. Score a win for my talented, lovely wife. Fucking animals walking around in the spilt milk. This event has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the story. It's simply a pre-title sequence. So much for the wife. And who's going to stand there and not take like a running dive and tackle her off of the electric show? Mm-hmm. But again, there's no spectrum in the emotion. There's that's it. So he just went to that and his butthole seized up and he couldn't move. Fucking asshole. Okay, anyway, let's go back to Roger Ebert's review quotes, kids. This is one of those movies that use the paraphernalia of expertise instead of the expertise itself. Are you a Catholic? People keep asking Sheen, who is? And there's the implication that his church affiliation somehow will protect him or endanger him. It's not clear which. There are lots of shots of ashes and blood and weird little voodoo charms, but no real explanation of what's going on, possibly because it doesn't matter. The movie is so hopelessly bankrupt of new ideas that it even ends with the obligatory shot suggesting that the evil will continue. The Believers has phoned in from the repository of weary movie ideas and should be ashamed of itself.
Shots fired from Roger Ebert.
Yeah, fuck Roger.
I will say he's not wrong.
But it's always
not wrong.
that fucking last shot in like 70s and early 80s horror films where like, you know, the evil kid, the possessed kid or some shit just kind of looks back and get that like one eye kind of like,
yeah.
And you're like, oh no, something's afoot. Gosh, geez, now I feel super uneasy. Where it's like, you know what? Just go take that kid, take him to the center of the street and just fucking shake the Santeria demon out of him, smack him around a little bit.
So I know we've talked about Roger Ebert a lot during our podcasts, you know, through all 5 years we've been doing this, but it's hard to express how important of a film critic that Roger Ebert was during the 70s and 80s. You know, he was the only person that I really, really watched and read religiously. And he could be blatantly very wrong about movies, especially horror movies. He hated horror movies and didn't get them or whatever, but he was probably, well, without a doubt, the most respected critic, film critic. And I can't think of anybody who matches, you know, his clout in the film world. Gene Siskel, obviously, was a second because they had a show together, but, you know, Leonard Maltin was there. Rex Reed, you know, was there. And who was the guy with the big fuzzy beard and stuff that was on the
Gene Shalit. Gene
Shalit. Yeah, those were the reviewers that you watched as a kid because they were on, you know, the Today Show or, you know, Siskel and Ebert at the movies. Leonard Maltin was on Entertainment Tonight. But those were the people that you really, really cared about because before the internet, you listened to what they had to say, and that kind of determined whether or not you wanted to see a movie or not.
I had a very jaded sense of film critics. Because you met my dad. My dad was an incredibly opinionated person, and if it wasn't his opinion, it was wrong. Mm-hmm. And his whole thing was, oh, the critics didn't like it. It's going to be the best thing ever. So, you know, you kind of mimic your parents' views when you're a kid before you really establish ones of your own. So I would watch that and they'd be like, God, this movie's horrible. I'm like, it's going to be a fucking great movie. I'm going to go watch that. Fuck those guys.
Yeah. Well, when it came to horror, I always knew that if they hated it, that I would probably like it because they even did a full 30-minute show dedicated to slasher movies and how bankrupt and awful they were. And I basically wrote down every movie they were talking about. I'm like, shit, I got to see this. I got to see this. I got to see this. If they fucking hate it and they think it's bad for me, that means I want to see it.
I just went and I just went and looked at the cover of Fangoria and the special effects magazines. That's how I picked those movies.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
pretty simple. It was pretty simple.
For nerdy kids like us, Fangoria and Starlog were really what fueled what we wanted to see or what we knew was coming up. It was hard to kind of, even Omni. Remember Omni magazine? It was like a science magazine, but it was the publisher was Bob Guccione of Penthouse magazine, so the font was exactly the same in Penthouse as it was in Omni magazine. How I know that Yeah,
I was going to ask. That's a very unique observation you got there, dude. What was that bookstore in the mall?
Walden Books.
Walden's. Yeah, if it had not been for the magazine rack at Walden's, I wouldn't have known anything. Because they would just let you come in and you could look at those magazines all damn day. They would not bother you.
Heck yeah. I can't. There's so much that the Walden Books did for me because you would go in and you would look at all the horror covers of all the horror paperbacks and then the science fiction ones. Then you would go look at the Dungeons and Dragons books that you couldn't afford and you really, really wanted. And then, you know, back in the back, there was the art books. And sometimes the art books had boobies in them. And of course, the magazine rack, like you said, there was Black Belt magazine, Ninja magazine, the Dungeons magazine,
Soldier of Fortune.
Yes. Fangoria, Starlog, Penthouse, and Playboy at the top. And
upper right corner. far
Yeah,
upper right
and
corner.
Penthouse Variations, maybe even a Hustler
Notice
up there.
notice how we're both gesturing to show off
Yeah.
our cool guy tattoos. How about you,
Mhm.
Dave? See anything with anything going on?
Oh, you can lift your arm up.
Oh, dude, nice with the arm. Excellent. Okay, well, don't do that shit and make that face.
It hurts.
To anybody who may not have listened to the last 400 or 500 episodes, Dave had some pretty severe shoulder surgery. So when they tell you not to hang your arm out the school bus window, kids, that's why you don't do it.
Yep.
Oh, we're going to take a moment for our infirmary update. Neil, how's your dog bite?
Oh, dog bites are great. They're all healed up. You can still feel on my forearm where it is. You can feel on the outside where the notch in the bone is. But I've had all the rabies shots, so I'm good. I haven't seen that fucker. I didn't know the dog, man. Like, whose dog is it? I'm like, I don't know. They bit me and just fucking ran off. So they're like, well, rabies is fatal. I'm like, well, let's get some shots.
Mm-hmm.
So now if I bite somebody, they're not going to get rabies.
All right. That was our infirmary update for the Retro Video Store podcast. Oh, Heavy Metal Magazine, too. Can't discount the importance of Heavy Metal Magazine.
Okay, well, if we're going to go that route, what about Mad?
Oh, yeah. Mad and Cracked.
Mad. See, I never got into Cracked. I thought it was a cheap ripoff of Mad.
Yeah, it was.
And Mad was one of those that I could sometimes talk my parents into getting for me, especially when we were like checking out at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Remember they'd have the one that you could fold it in on itself. And you'd see
they always had the
picture.
The full thing. Yeah. At the end, at the back of every Mad magazine. Yes, many. I even still have a couple of compendiums, hardback of Mad magazine. Mad
so
goes
good.
to the movies, Mad Halloween episodes and stuff, issues and stuff. So, yeah, very influential. But let's talk about the movie's plot. We've talked about it quite a bit. The electrocution scene at the beginning of the movie, very memorable. It's kind of a good way to catch you into the movie because you're like, what is this movie about? I don't know. Holy shit, this lady just got electrocuted. What's going to happen next? He was acting weird. Cal, he came in from jogging and he was like wetting his hair under the sink with glass.
So he rinsed out the wine glass and then dumped the water on his head. That was
it was
bizarre.
Really weird. Before he got in the shower. So why did he do that? He knew he was going to get in the shower. I don't know. Weird. And the kid has got some weird little sort of like Kachina-esque kind of doll that he hangs on to. He's a brat. This kid is a brat. I'm going to say. Bratty behavior. Obviously, he's got some PTSD from his mom dying, but he's still a brat. Still a brat. Yes, still a little. It would be not good to see your wife get shocked. Did you notice when he went to see his lawyer friend that the lawyer friend spilt his creamer?
Yes. Yeah, I noticed that. That actually made me laugh so hard.
And you can see Cal just kind of looking at it like, oh, I remember when my wife was electrocuted.
The best part of waking up is not getting fucking electrocuted to death in front of your family.
Yeah, this is bad. So there should be a recall for that coffee maker. I think even his lawyer friend talked about that, suing the crap out of the coffee maker company for some sort of class action lawsuit. So after this happens, you're like, what the hell's going on? And then you see this child ritual sacrifice going on. And they don't say whether it's happening right now or whether it's happening in the past, but you'll find out later that it's happening in the past. And the two people very close to Cal, the older mentor people, were involved in that child sacrifice. Little coincidence.
Oh, yeah, but as soon as you saw them, I mean, granted, they kind of left it hanging. They didn't really explain what was going on in the beginning, other than you saw the kid with the weird eyes. But as soon as he showed up to their house, I'm sorry, that chick walking around with that fucking pirate do-rag on her head.
Yeah, what is it with that? As soon as you see a lady with a do-rag on, I'm immediately suspicious of her motivation.
Mm-hmm. It's like dudes in tunics.
Yes, ladies in do-rags and dudes in tunics. Cannot be trusted. So Cal gets a job as a police psychiatrist in New York, and he's got some troubled patients, seen a little bit too much, and then he's a new landlady, is super nice, kind of, that she's going to be the love interest for Cal. And he's chasing the kid around in the park, and then the kid finds and of course, what does he do when he loses the kid?
Just losing his shit.
The kid. He loses his shit and starts yelling. What was the boy's name? Chris.
And you're sitting there watching. Okay, parent myself. You're a parent. He's sitting there watching his kid in New York City go over a hill and disappear from his sight. Would you have just sat there and went, yes, yeah? Or I would have dropped the fucking phone and hustled over there. What the fuck are you thinking of? and then what do you do after that? Once you catch up with him, you shake the fucking shit out of him like this.
Don't you run off on me.
And smack him a few times. Because you're a therapist and you're very in touch with your emotions.
Yeah, so
we see. Weren't we like in the 80s though? If we would have ran over the hill, our parents would have been like, "They're fine, let's go home." They know their way back.
It depends on who your parent is. Your parent's a little more laissez-faire. My mom would have freaked the fuck out and done exactly that.
Yes,
beaten us for running away, for getting out of her sight.
I remember I went with my buddy to Colorado to score some drugs one time. It's this festival, and I was gone for 3 days. And just pretty much lived off the pot brownies for 3 days. And I used a payphone on the way back, and I called my dad, and I'm like, "Hey, Dad, I should be home by 6 o'clock or whatever." And he said, "Okay, where you been?" And I said, "Well, I'm up at this festival in Colorado." I was just like 19 years old or 18 or 19. He's like, "Oh, well, how long you been there?" I'm like, 3 days, Dad. I've been sleeping in the back of a truck for 3 days trying to score some drugs. And I just thought it was funny. He's like, "Oh, all right, well, see." I didn't tell him I was scoring drugs, but I just thought it was like funny. He's like, "Oh, all right, see you when you get back."
Yeah. Not so much for me. I have a Mexican mom, and in order to leave the house, you have to clean something to justify your absence. And if you have fun one day, that means you can't have fun the next day. That's that's just the law of the Mexican family. Yeah, not the most. Yeah, they didn't really allow much. They allowed you to live like George Lopez.
Yeah. My parents were, as long as I didn't end up in the ER, they were stoked if I told them I was going over to your house. I'm going over to Eric's. Oh, then everything will be okay. But I think it was the one time that I ended up in the ER, and it was like three separate occasions on the same weekend that my parents were like, "Nope, you're not going to be doing that." Slightly different upbringings.
Yeah, 3 of us different. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things is not the same. Do you know what I'm talking about? So we see the first evidence of the voodoo in Central Park, because you see a nice cat head on an altar with blood. And the little boy picks up this little shell with the beads on it. And that's his wishing shell that he tells his dad, but apparently it's got the bad mojo and is making him sick.
It's a curse shell. That's what it is.
Shell, yeah. Mm-hmm. Curse shell. Then you see the scary voodoo guy or the brujeria guy. I keep saying voodoo, but I guess it's not necessarily voodoo. Different area.
A little culturally insensitive, dude.
I'm sorry. The brujeria guy. And he shows up and does a dread eye mind trick at the airport. This is just normal stuff, or whatever he tells him.
Nothing in here you need to see.
Mm-hmm. And they get the housekeeper, who's also into Santeria, the good side of it, and she's making love spells and doing the sana colita sarana thing with the egg on the.
That was the scene of the movie I'd seen.
Uh-huh.
When she cracks the egg and it comes out all gross and bloody. Yeah, so I'm sitting there like, wait, this part's familiar, and then she cracks the egg open, and I really enjoy eggs. So my wife looks over at me and she's like, so what do you think about that? I'm like, that was a fucking crime. What that was.
Yeah.
That made me think of like if I would have told my dad, if one of our like babysitters or whatever, like, Dad, guess what the babysitter did today? Like brought in a dead cat and like cut his head off and then cracked it, like all this whatever weird shit. He'd be like, what? And I'd tell him again, he'd be like, whatever, kid. I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like
she's inexpensive. She's showing up.
Yeah.
You know how expensive childcare is these days?
Yeah. You show some goddamn respect.
The house wasn't burnt down. All the beer was still in the fridge. Fuck it.
Yes, exactly. You're learning Spanish, Yeah, the kid. Well, let's go back to Jimmy Smits because there are kids being sacrificed all over the city, and you see kind of weird stuff like the first kid apparently is like an Asian kid because the parents are there, and they're not really that upset when they're in the morgue and stuff. But Jimmy Smits sure is upset. They took my badge. He's all sweaty and yelling. Just a really sweaty performance from Jimmy Smits in this movie. I remember that, and apparently when he gets really sick and he's got the culebras in his stomach, and he literally has snakes in his stomach. That always stuck with me as a as a kid, being kind of freaky. Yeah,
just gonna nod at you. Just gonna nod. I think Jimmy Smits, that performance right there was probably the standout for the whole fucking movie.
Yeah,
when he's yelling in like the corner when he's sitting in the chair, just freaking the fuck out. Yeah,
it's like, hey, do we have any like medical like restraint kind of devices? No. How about an old sheet? We just tie the guy up with an old sheet. All he really had to do was kind of start shrugging and throwing his elbows up. He could have been out of that thing and out the door and could have got that worthless ass tea a whole lot sooner.
Yes, that tea did not help him. He went to the curandera, the guy, and got some special tea. And I, being a curious young man at this age, after watching this movie and watching The Serpent and the Rainbow, I went through a let's study voodoo period for a while. So I would go and read all about that stuff in the Farmington Public Library, which there wasn't really that much.
Amazing repository for the occult.
Yes.
The Farmington Public Library.
Well, that would be an excuse to go to the library, or for some reason, if we were bored, or dad is like, let's go to the library or whatever. So in the basement of the library, that's where they had all the reference books at. And they had the entire Time Life Secrets of the Unknown books, the whole set. And I mean, right now, if you were to say, Eric, would you like the Mysteries of the Unknown Time Life book series? I would buy them. I need to check out how much they are on eBay because I would love to have those, because I used to look at those all the time. There used to be a television commercial at night, and it was Vincent Price, and they would talk about the Mysteries of the Unknown Time Life series. And holy shit, I would love those books because they had UFOs and vampires and ghosts and all that kind of stuff. All the stuff that I loved as a kid, I would definitely love those books. They had the black cover and with the gold lettering on the spine.
Got a set on eBay for $210 right now.
Oh damn! Oh, don't tempt me, man. I would throw $210 down right now for a set.
And that is for the whole. Then they've got 20 for $180.
Oh,
and I'm like, 23 for $208. You wouldn't have the complete set, but I know that would drive you fucking crazy.
Yeah, I'd have to get the complete set. I can't have just part.
Oh, these look really good. Mysteries of Mind, Space, and Time, the complete set. Anyway,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's kind of stuff I loved. And then they had the actual Serpent and the Rainbow book by Wade Davis in there, and I would look at all the different kind of books like that. I used to love it. But you know what you would always find in the occult books inside the Farmington Public Library? Somebody would always put a Jack Chick tract to tell you about how you were going to go to hell inside those books, which was like a bonus. It was like the Cracker Jack prize in the Cracker Jack box, because I loved those little pamphlets, man. I would read the shit out of those. Do you remember Jack Chick tracts? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Don't forget, my parents super Christian, church 3 times a week.
Mhm.
Those things were everywhere.
And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I wrote an article on Kinder Trauma about Jack Chick tracks. There's that website called Kinder Trauma about all the stuff that scared you as a kid.
I'm looking it up right now.
Eric J on Dungeons and Dragons and Jack Chick. I wrote that in April 10th of 2012.
Used up all his words. What's he published since? Not much.
No, I wrote a few things for Kinder Trauma, but it's wonderful. Yes, check it out if you want to read something that I wrote.
The one where it
Trauma
says your childhood ends here.
Yeah,
I'll check it out.
but anyway, the whole movie is just a conspiracy to get Cal to sacrifice his kid in order to be, to get whatever wealth and fortune you get whenever you sacrifice your kid. The crazy voodoo guy's in there. He touches his girlfriend's compact, and it's got that urban legend where if you get this boil on your face and the bugs crawl out. Props to Helen Shaver for letting a spider get that close to her eye.
Yeah, without flinching. That's the second best acting in the entire film.
Yeah.
Just, we want you to sit here horrified. Oh, that's not going to be a problem, boss. You put that spider 2 inches from my actual eyeball. Let's go.
Yeah, that was pretty freaky. She did a good job for not like immediately swatting a spider away from her eye. That always freaky. And then when he's they're playing the drums at the benefit where they're trying to figure out what this Robert Calder guy who's like the head of the cult, and the crazy guy's eyes turn white and he's freaking out and stuff. That was pretty crazy. Basically, the whole movie is just like Rosemary's Baby. There's something going on where everybody's conspiring against him, and it's a lot sort of like The Wicker Man, where there's a plot in Rosemary's Baby. What other movies are like that where there's a plot, a conspiracy against your hero, that he's always behind everything. There's a few movies that are like that, but The Wicker Man and Rosemary's Baby and this one, Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a little bit like that. Manchurian Candidate, maybe. There's things that are going on where all this stuff is going on. But I think this is a funny movie. Not fun. It's a fun movie, not necessarily funny. Funny unintentionally, but I think it's a fun movie. If you have not seen it, I would check it out. David, what's your general opinion of the movie?
This movie was shit. And it was entertaining, though. But I told Eric, Neil, you missed it. Eric and I were rambling on before you got on. And I really felt like this movie was made more like a 70s style, and had a touch of Italian horror. And Eric agreed that just a small amount there. But also, I've never really liked Martin Sheen. And I thought that was, he lived up to the part.
Well, Martin Sheen also gives a very unhinged performance in The Dead Zone as the aspiring presidential candidate. He's also, he plays mean. You know what I mean? You buy him as kind of an unhinged kind of guy in this movie and that movie.
What was the TV show he did where he was the president?
The West Wing.
The West Wing.
Yeah.
So he was fairly like level in the West Wing, but the stuff from the 80s, 70s and 80s, man, he's up and down. It's just bipolar. He's either here or there. He's no space in between. Well,
even in Apocalypse Now, he's very low key most of the time, unless he's in his hotel room, naked, drinking and punching, kung fu punching mirrors and stuff like that. But his performance is pretty low key until he has to kill Colonel Kurtz in the at the end of the movie, and he's very understated when he's speaking and stuff like that. But but he's definitely acting like a motherfucker in this movie. in this movie. Yeah. Let's talk about 1987 horror movies, because it's a underrated year for horror movies. In fact, we've done quite a few movies from 87. Angel Heart, which we talked about, is there. We should probably do that someday. It's definitely
that's the movie
atmospheric.
It wanted you to put the bone in bone A. That's what that movie did.
But Alan Parker directed that one. It's very, very atmospheric, sweaty movie. Everybody's just sweating like crazy in that one. Bad Taste, Peter Jackson's first movie.
I can't believe you skipped the very first movie on this.
Enigma?
Yeah.
A Lucio Fulci movie?
Yes. I thought that would have been the first thing that you would have gone to.
I've actually not seen that one. Out of all of him. I'll have to check that one out. That is a gap in my Lucio Fulci knowledge is Enigma. I should check that one out. Bad Taste. Beaks, the movie.
Dude, scroll over it and just let your cursor sit. The poster for that's amazing.
It's amazing, yeah. This bird with like the reflection of two people in their eyes. English language Mexican horror film. Movie called Berserker. Blood Diner. Blood Frenzy. Blood Harvest. Blood Hook. Blood Lake. Blood Rage.
Oh, Billy the Kid and the Green Baezi? Vampire, I'm not sure how to say that. A British independent musical fantasy horror comedy drama sports film starring Phil Daniels and someone Alan Armstrong.
All right. Makes me want to see it now.
Hell yes, do I want to see this now.
Bloody Wednesday. Blue Monkey with Steve Railsback. Cannibal Hookers. Oh my God. The Carrier. The Chinese Ghost Story. That is really good. That's definitely... Love me some hopping vampires and Chinese ghosts. Those are always fun.
Ooh, Creepazoids.
Oh yeah, I remember this. That is I think it is a Roger Corman movie. I don't know. Love that poster though. Creepshow 2, which is not as good as the first one, but I remember is Thanks for the Ride, Lady. In the raft.
Mm-hmm.
Dead of Winter, Demon of Paradise, Dolls. Stuart Gordon's movie Dolls. Evil Cat. Evil Dead 2. Amazing. From a Whisper to the Scream. The Gate, which we need to do eventually. Ghoulies 2. Hell High. Hello Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. We got to do that one. Hellraiser, which we've done. The Hidden is one we need to do. That's a really good one. Howling 3.
Oh man, I think I saw that one time. The Hidden. That'd be a fun one to roll back.
Yeah, that's a good one. Jaws: The Revenge. The Lost Boys. We've done an episode on that one. Monster Squad. We've done an episode on that one. Near Dark. We've done an episode on that. Necromantic, which we'll never do an episode.
What about Munchies?
Munchies. Oh shit! Yeah, Munchies. I remember seeing that video box over and over again, but I've never seen it. Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, we've done that one. Dario Argento's Opera, we need to do that one sometime.
Near Dark.
Near Dark, movie. Yes. Prince of Darkness. Oh. Return to Horror High. Yeah, this 87 is, don't sleep on 87. There's a lot of good movies on there. Lots of classics and lots of trash. The Video Dead. I remember seeing that, putting that box away, the video away over and over again. At Hastings, books, music, and video. So next week, Neil, what is your opinion of? I didn't get to ask you your opinion of the Believers.
Oh, I had a fun time with this. Yeah, I really, really did. It was shit talk from beginning to end, and I was sitting there. I was completely annoyed because as soon as I saw the old people, and we're like, oh, there's something evil, there's something wrong with them, and then my wife is right next to me, and she goes, I bet you they're the people from the beginning. I bet you they killed their kid, and that's who this is. And then when they go to the house and they walk past the picture, and we're both just looking at each other like, yep, there it is. There was nothing super surprising about it. There was nothing super gross about it, but it was just so much damn fun for that very reason. This was
talking shit about
this
movie.
this was the schlock that we watched when we were kids, 100%.
Yeah.
It was so great for that very reason. You know, if we had to be afraid of Russians, and then all of a sudden we had to be afraid of the people from the Middle East, and we had to be afraid of drugs, and then oh no, it's not Christianity. We got to be afraid of any other religion or anything like that. That's got to be evil as well.
Oh, yeah.
We're just
satanic panic. We're
just going through the tropes of everything we had to be afraid of.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I agree with you. It's a fun watch. If you haven't seen it, it's just the right amount of cheese. Everybody's overacting like crazy.
You can go to church. You can go to church and then take the chicken and you can have something to eat after, you know? Just go ham on the altar with it. Just chicken blood, maybe spray a little bit on your friends. Aha, I got you there. Pluck that fucker and make some nuggets. Boom. Good to go.
Yeah. You got some fajitas. Definitely check it out. Next week, we're doing The Serpent and the Rainbow. It's also a really fun 80s voodoo movie. Wes Craven directed. Bill Pullman is in it. It's I love the hell of that movie when I was a kid. I haven't seen it in a long, long time, so it'll be fun to check out. It's on Amazon Prime if you haven't. If you want to watch it, you can get back to us. We are on, or if you want to send us an email, rvspodcast222@gmail.com. We are on the Instagram. We're on the Facebook. Not really on the Threads that much. Or Blue Sky. I forgot my Blue Sky log-on. It's been so long. But yeah, that's how you hit us up. If you want to go donate to the cause, go to buymeacoffee.com and look up the Retro Video Store and help contribute to this money pit of a show.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like your wife bought a coffee, my wife bought a coffee.
Yeah.
That never actually translated into a coffee for me. So thanks for sharing the wealth, fucker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I paid for maybe half a month of hosting. So yes. But thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it. We're getting some good downloads, and we appreciate everybody who's. What is weird is that 28 people in one day downloaded Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It's like, why did 28 people download this one specific episode in a day on Friday? It's weird. It's like it's like a class somewhere, like trying to teach English.
Well, I can find out for you real quick. I just got to go grab my wife's cat and get a chicken from a neighbor, and then have some answers for you.
Okay, all right. Thanks, man. Anything to say, Dave?
Glad to be back. Thanks for making me watch that shitty movie.
All right.
And also, since we've been talking, or you guys have been rambling on the last 10 minutes, I've been looking at Kinder Trauma. So thank you, Eric.
Yeah. Good website.
Yep.
Have a good week, everybody.
Yay.
Bye.
Have a good week.
Thank you for listening to the Retro Video Store Podcast.